Boom, and we recording. So, welcome to another episode of Accidentally DeFi, where we talk through the crypto space, Web3, decentralized finance, and everything in between as we continue to learn what we got going and make mistakes and share our learnings and our mistakes with y'all. So, what we getting into today?
Uh, First, how are you, bro? You straight? You good?
Why wouldn't I be good?
I don't know, fam. Just asking a question.
Oh, yeah.
Just concerns.
Yeah, I'm straight. I'm straight.
Yeah, man. Well, if anything, I thought the Bitcoin conference was going to boost the price of Bitcoin, probably increase the market. And Bitcoin 7 days down 9%. Ethereum's price is down 10%. And just the whole market as a whole. Solana's down 21% right now, and it's early in the morning when most people will get up to, make their buys. Terra's down 25%. It's just looking really wild right now. So
You thought a Bitcoin, let me stop.
I thought Bitcoin conference was gonna boost the market. Yes, I did.
Why? What
Bitcoin?
Okay, so like let's have a conversation. So who typically go to a conference?
I don't know. People that learn.
So would you go to a conference if you were not already interested in the thing?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
If I was already interested, I would go. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're already interested, you'll pay the money to go to the conference. Conferences don't necessarily generate new demand in that way. And so that conference was never going to shoot the price up.
I don't know, man.
My opinion.
I don't know, man. I'm expecting it to. I expected more. ETH Denver had a pretty, at least a short boost on the market, So I don't know. It's okay. I see there's a lot of stuff going on right now, I'm sure. And another reason, Bitcoin got 41% of the market cap right now. So I expected it to do something, but it's cool. My feelings ain't hurt. I'm gonna cop some more of this stuff. Hell, Matic is down to $1.40. I like that number right now. So I might go ahead and buy some more of those, man. But
yeah,
for sure. And Near is down too, I think, right? It has to be, because I've been buying a lot of Near lately. But that's side. Today's topic is inflation, and I'm notoriously bad at simplifying subjects. So I tried my hardest to go out of my way to figure out a way to do this today.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, basically, what is inflation? I try to explain that to people in a lot of ways. And you got old-timey inflation where, like, you would have like gold coins and they would put just less gold in each coin. So the gold with the least amount of coins worth less money. So you would need more coins to buy the same things because there's less gold in each individual coin. Right. So that's old-timey inflation. Now, 70 years ago, before Richard Nixon walked in, like John Wayne, we had a different level of inflation where, there was more dollars printed and then we had gold, right? But now we don't have anything backed up. So I genuinely don't think that there's I don't know what it is. There's not something behind the dollar. So the amount of dollars printed may not necessarily cause inflation. I don't know. I don't know where's the link. I've been trying to find it. I don't see the link between it if there's nothing carved in. But anywho, I can explain general inflation. This is best as I'll try to do. So I try to find an example that everybody can get into. And I'm not a Jordans person, as you can see. I love Adidas. It's my thing. I'm always rocking Adidas to the day I'm gone, because this is what I'm on. And but most people like Jordans, right? So let's say they had 1,000 Jordans out in the street, right? They finna sell them, these new cool grays. I don't know what year the first pair of cool grays came out. If them just was hot, I don't know none of that. But let's say them just was the hottest ever. Everybody lined up. All right, so it costs $50 to produce each shoe. All right. That's it, just 50. They charging 200 for it. So 1 million people line up for the shoe. That means there are 999,000 people in theory, if we assuming that, one to one person, one shoe, one pair of shoes. There's 999,000 people that will not have a shoe. This is a perfect case of demand-driven inflation. At this point, you can continue raising the price of the shoes until there are only 1,000 people willing to buy the 1,000 pairs. Right? You don't that's just the truth. They could drive the price of those shoes to $2,500. If 999,000 people leave, that's completely fine because they not hurting. They only made 1,000 shoes for $50. All right. So how you like that? We good on that? Dave?
Keep going. Keep him going.
All right.
That's my
All right. So then
signal. Go. Move.
All right. So now we got cost of production inflation, right? Cost of production inflation is basically, it costs $50 to make those pair of shoes. That gives them $150 profit. Suddenly the price to make the shoe jumps to $75. In order to preserve that $150 profit margin, they'll raise the price to $225, right? So they'll sell those 1,000 shoes at $225 to preserve their profit margin. This is called cost of production inflation. So the cost to produce the shoe due to something, maybe supply chain shortages like they're talking about now, maybe something of that nature, is causing the price of the shoe to go up so that the people that made the shoes make all their money and they don't necessarily lose free profit.
There you go. And so
okay.
Cost of living.
Yeah, so cost of living increase inflation is simply when the employees say, hey, there's so much inflation going on everywhere. We cannot work without you giving us more money. So as a result, the hourly wages necessary to produce those 1,000 shoes increase. So the price increases as a whole. All three types of these inflations can be wrapped up into one simple item, right? Probably one of the most in-demand things over the course of this pandemic was maybe a washing machine or a TV, or I know for a fact a PlayStation. So, I mean, this beautiful thing right here costing me like, $500, 600, and that's $100 above market price. I was willing to pay that because I had the demand for it. There was definitely a shortage in PlayStations, so that the supply was low. Lord knows there was a cost of production inflation, right? We don't know. I mean, I don't know Sony's, price for margin, and we don't know if there was cost of living inflation. All I can say is we do know. What I do know is demand-driven inflation portion. I'm willing to say that because we were in a pandemic, that there was some sort of cost of production increase and some sort of cost of living increase collectively. But as a whole, yeah, I think it's interesting to see these three types of inflation get wrapped up in this. So yeah, I mean, that's just inflation, just at the simplest level. That's the easiest way to explain it. And I think that's a good one. We got any questions, any comments?
Yeah. First foremost, I thoroughly appreciate how you just broke down three different types of inflation, four if you count the old timey OG gold coin inflation. I think the problem that I've wrestled with since I became aware of inflation back in high school is it all makes sense in theory. You know what I mean? Like in theory, it all makes sense that there takes more of my dollars to buy the same thing. But then in practice, it's like a dollar is still a dollar. It's just how do we collectively value a dollar? Nobody could really make that make sense for me. I get that demand-driven. I understand demand-driven inflation. I understand cost of living increase inflation. I understand supply-driven inflation. You know what I mean? Like I understand the concept of supply and demand. But for me, the part that I wrestled with is there had to be a starting point. Somebody somewhere had to charge more for the rest of the dominoes to fall, at which point now my dollar is worthless.
Well, so I mean, we can't say that somebody. It's not somebody charge more. Everybody has to charge more because natural economics is gonna say if you charging me $225 for this and you charging 200, I'm going with a 200 at, and so they got to drop these prices consequently if they want to get their profit up.
Well, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
on the last
So
good, but at the beginning, let's choose a farmer. I don't know why I'm choosing a farmer, but let's choose a farmer. Some farmer,
Farmer Joe.
some farmer had to be like, damn, bro, my cow's sick. I'm gonna have to run you this milk instead of our normal dollar. I'm gonna have to charge you 150 a pop. And then the farm down the street gonna be like, oh shit, this nigga getting
150 pop.
let me charge a 150 a pop. So like in that scenario, the first farmer initially raised the prices because of conditions in his fiscal financial environment. And then the other farmer was like, oh, if he can do it, people will pay it. I'm gonna raise it too. And then the next farmer be like, oh, they doing 150, I'm gonna do 150. And so like in that sense, one domino had to fall for the rest of them to fall. And so that's mentally, that's where I'm at. I'm like, why can't we all just say like collectively, you know what? I don't want to raise the price this year. None of us should raise the price this year. I understand that that's not how it works in a free market. I understand that's not how it works when you're trying to maximize your profits. But in theory, I always felt like there could be a scenario where inflation didn't have to happen because the first actor would just be like, let's keep everything stable.
Well, you know, I'm gonna agree with you on that. Like, as of like the only time in history, in all of history, where it makes sense to not charge people. I mean, to where it makes sense to say, you know, the intrinsic value of the dollar is the same, is after Richard Nixon walked in, like John Wayne, and took the United States off the gold standard. I'm pretty sure it was Nixon. Let me make sure. But yeah, so like before that, it was like, hey, the United States got, I don't know, 1 billion pounds or ounces of gold, and you got, you know, $10 billion dollars in circulation. So this means that each dollar in circulation is equal to a tenth of an ounce of gold. So and so that means like you can balance it. Like, okay, well, there's less dollars, so this guy wants to have claim to 2/10 of an ounce of gold. So that means I need to give him $2 today instead of $1 when there was only $5 billion in circulation, right? It's like I guess that's the best way to put it, right? So I mean, I think another big part of it is like greed. Like it's not just you know, yeah, 1971. It was Nixon. 1971. He took us off the standard that FDR put us on in 33, which they should have been updating that whole time. Let's not get into that. So yeah, so it's like now, because you know, 2,000-3,000 years ago, you could weigh those coins and see how much gold was in each other. I'm like, oh no, these niggas short me. Or am I not supposed to say that on this podcast? I don't know.
We'll bleep it out.
All right. So then you know, you get to, you know, now where you can calculate the exchange from US dollar to gold. Now there's nothing. So you just want more dollars because the dollar is nothing. I mean, it means nothing. I mean, I got $1 in there. I don't hold cash. I don't. But I got dollars. You know, then all of them mean something sentimentally to me. Like my grandma gave me $1 my whole life. I use that dollar as a bookmark to this day. I mean, because it's emotionally, but the dollar means nothing. I mean, it's not a claim. It's not a claim to anything. I mean, when I was a kid, man, you can go buy a can of Coke and maybe get like 2, what's them little candy? What are those squares? Now-relators with $1. You can get $1.
that brings me to the next point as we transition a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw this wasn't in your original notes, but like the value, the value of a thing is what we collectively decide to assign to it.
Okay.
You got like you said, a dollar, right? If everybody in America woke up and was like, this dollar is worth nothing, then the dollar is no longer worth nothing because this is just a note. It is a note saying that this person owns a value equal to whatever's printed on
Equal
this.
to it, yeah, I was gonna say it's like equal to nothing, right? It's just a claim to
Yeah.
something.
So,
It's like a comfort ordeal right now.
like if we collectively was like, you know what, I think a dollar's worth the equivalent of what we consider to be 25 cents. Then we just reassign that value collectively. Like you said, your dollar that you use as your bookmark, you placed intrinsic value into it because it's sentimental to you. So now that dollar's technically worth more than a dollar to you. Like if somebody wanted to take
Yeah,
it off of you, they'll be like, you'll be like, you're gonna have to give me more than a dollar, fam. It's not
right.
a one-to-one exchange. And so I think that gets lost when we talk about monetary value, that like it is basically worth what we're willing to pay for. It is basically worth the value that we assign to it. And as we think about crypto, like how does a crypto price go up? Well, more people start using the crypto, the demand for the crypto goes up while the supply goes down or stays stable. And, then it becomes more valuable the more scarce it is. Like, and boom. Like if Bitcoin is a perfect freaking example. Like there's only a finite number of Bitcoins that will ever be mined. And the demand just keep doing this. And as a consequence, the price keeps doing this. Well, it's
Something like that.
more like a worm, but you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the value of Bitcoin is
Can
what,
be calculated, bro.
but it even once you step away from the calculations, it is what it is because people in the world, not even just the US or whatever, people in the world were like, this thing is, I want a piece of this, but there's only so much of this. So how much am I willing to pay for this? And then boom, here we go. Supply and demand.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I think, when you talk about monetary policy and the value of a dollar, that's one thing. But another thing to talk about is just genuine greed. I think a lot of companies do look for reasons to raise prices, and inflation is just another great reason to cite it. I think I can't, I cannot even imagine, uh, but I guarantee, IHOP or whatever parent company holds them, they their inflation was not 33 to 40%. I think it was about 33% that I calculated. I went there. I used to go to IHOP. I used to get the big steak omelet, a drink, the pancakes. It was like uh, freaking $13.18 every time, and the tip is what made it 16, right? So now it's $16 before taxes. It's like a 33% price increase. I don't. I wish I could look at their books. I do not believe that they had that right. I mean, another good company to look at right now is, Starbucks is like raising their prices, right?
Really?
They're kind of good. Starbucks is raising their prices, right? And Q4 2021, I think it was, right? This is Q4 2021. They dealt with Tuesday says higher cross. Yeah, yeah. So they had dealt with a small, loss in revenue. Uh, they were short by, is that $100 million? Yeah, $100 million. They were short $100 million, right? So they expected $8.05 billion, and they only got $7.95 billion. And they was like, hey, because of this, we're gonna raise prices. We're not hitting our price targets. And that comes from, it could be greed, but it also comes from the idea that they gotta please stockholders. Stockholders have entrusted them with $93 billion, $93.7 billion as of right now. And as market opens, it'll be slightly below that. But yeah, like they've entrusted them as of right now, at least. They've entrusted them with all that money. So in order to keep the interest of stockholders, they have to raise prices. And I think that just the world's global economic output as a whole is very greedy and unsustainable. The idea of never-ending economic growth is impossible. We don't need never-ending economic growth. We need sustainable economic growth. We need sustainable economic activity. The goal of an economy is only to support its population. That's it, those who it serves. If the economy is doing that, then it's grown enough. That's it. And the economy is at the whim of innovation. Is Starbucks innovating right now?
You raise an interesting point back to my beef with inflation as a whole. Inflation does not have to happen. I have to emphasize those words because they're not typed, so you can't see them bolded out. But like, inflation does not have to happen, but it does, because never-ending economic growth. Stockholders are invested, and if you tell a stockholder, "Oh, we didn't increase your money this year,"
yeah, they're selling you.
What's my incentive to stay? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you didn't grow my money, what is my incentive to stay with this company? And so like, there is this never-ending hunger for more that is present in our economy. There's present in our pop culture. There's present in our society. Everybody just always wants more.
And that's not economically possible. I mean, we do live on the earth with limited resources. How can we ever expect, infinite expansion? That's not the goal. Our economy in the United States is goal to support, I don't know, last time I checked, somewhere around 330 million people. Does it successfully do that? Probably not. Maybe, somewhere around
that's
300 million.
Looking at more now, and I'm joking, but not really.
Yeah, right.
We are obsessed with growth, right? And at some point, you got to ask yourself, like, is the growth worth it? Because now we're looking at inflations that people been stressing about incessantly for at least 2 months now, and it's like, why are we here? We don't have to be here, but we are, and it'll be interesting. But before we run out of time, I do want to shift the conversation, because I know you're very passionate about crypto as an inflation hedge. And so I want to get your take on, like, how do you see crypto acting as an inflationary hedge? And which crypto would you consider holding? Again, not financial advice, but I'm asking you specifically, which crypto would you consider holding as a hedge against inflation, personally?
As a hedge against inflation?
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely feel like Bitcoin is holding it down right now as a hedge against inflation. I mean, as a general and accessible hedge against inflation. I think personally, any healthy portfolio in the crypto world is going to require some Ethereum as well. Ethereum has definitely provided this very similar, reactions against inflation hedges. I think, was it between, let's see, hold on, let me make sure now. In the last year over year right now, if you put $10,000 into Bitcoin last year at this date to now, you'd have been down about 32%, right? But I mean, of course, you would have rolled the highs of last year. But and I think Ethereum is kind of similar to that. I think Ethereum was, if not right around the same price target it is right now.
Yeah.
So I think Ethereum is definitely being safe, but and I was watching the Bitcoin conference, on Twitter or whatever, and I respect maximalism. I just don't think I think that type of tribalism, because there was a point where they asked Raise your hand if you got Bitcoin in your wallet. People raise their hand. Raise your hand if you hold Ethereum in your wallet. People raise their hands. They was like, get out. I was like, what? No, tribalism is what gets us in these places. You know, it's okay to have multiple heads against inflation.
That's another conversation.
I know, but I definitely, I have hedge in inflation head and you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Definitely Matic, Polygon is carrying my whole portfolio right now. Let me just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
They're carrying my whole portfolio right now. I think I'm for real. I'm 50% on it right now.
I'm gonna put a Polygon happy sign above my head. Right?
For real. Another thing, like my Shiba Inu investment carried, right? You know, inflation has not even managed to eat now. Like, hey, Shiba Inu. So I mean, it's about taking those risks. I mean, especially Shiba Inu, right? I mean, you never really know. You take risk in these markets. So you do what you got to do. But I'm telling you, I think genuinely, you know, Bitcoin, Ether, Matic, if we have to put it in short, and if you want to jump out there with the Shiba army, Shiba Inu as well. But yeah, so I think with those 4, I managed to carry my portfolio beyond inflation to a point where I'm okay. Even with the losses that Bitcoin has, you know, since last year on April 9th, I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, I genuinely see inflation. Yeah. What about you? What's your personal hedge?
I think when I think about inflation as of
right now, they haven't even released the March CPI numbers, and it stresses me out. That's the
part you got to understand about me. I could care less, because in theory that all makes sense, but like in practice, I look at things in practice. I look at things in the day-to-day. How are you affecting me on a day-to-day scale? And I think, well, first off, I've become more of a crypto maximalist incrementally over the last, how long we've been doing this, 4, 5, 6 months, like just moving more and more of my assets into crypto personally. So like I'm already leaning that way. I got a lot of stable coins. I don't necessarily see them as a hedge against inflation, because if a USDC equals a USD, the value of a USDC goes down with the value of a USD.
Yeah, but OUSD is a great hedge, but we'll go with that because they have that floating interest rate. We'll talk about the Origin protocol one day.
But then again, I do get interest on my USDC.
Yeah, because you have it in I don't know where you got it.
I don't even know where I got it no more. I think I got it in a
Celsius and Aave.
I got Celsius, I got Aave.
Yeah.
You know, on Juno. I'm looking for somewhere else to put it, to be honest with you, but that's a whole nother conversation about yields and interest rates. We'll get into that in one of the.
We should probably do an episode on that, right? Like next week or next.
It's on the schedule.
Yeah,
we gotta pick a date for it.
Yeah.
But nah, I think when I think about hedging against inflation, first off, for me, I'm not hedging against inflation. I don't look for a crypto to hedge against inflation. If I had to pick one, I would pick one with good growth, and I'd say Ethereum would probably be my natural hedge at this point. I like the growth. I like what it's done for my portfolio. But in the day-to-day, in the short term, I'm rocking with the stable coins in different yields protocols. That's my strategy, you know. That's my strategy.
I think I can check my portfolio right now just to give a freaking, hold on, let me see, because I got manage all of it. Yep, give me percentages. Yeah, about 40% of my protocol of my stuff is in stablecoin.
Yeah,
that's just as it is. I mean, 40% is stablecoin. So yeah, I mean, I'm just not leaving stablecoin situation, man. I think that's where it's supposed to be right now. So I mean, I'm going to do what I got to do with that on that note for sure.
Absolutely. Like I said, I hedge against inflation with different yield protocols, with different staking protocols.
Yeah.
I don't hedge with a cryptocurrency per se. But that's just me. It's just my strategy. That's how I'm making the most out of my dollars. Again, this ain't financial advice, so feel free to do what you want. If you think Bitcoin is a natural hedge, go for it. If you think Ethereum, I do like Ethereum. It's had some good growth. It is going to continue to see growth. I think it's going to grow more than Bitcoin in the long term. Go for it. But for me personally, I'm using different protocols, different yields, different stakes. And that's treating me nice, talking to me nice. So that's what I got there. And I think this is a good place to wrap up. If you got any last comments.
Any last comments? Let me see. Yeah, man, I think we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover on this episode. I think this was pretty smooth and straight to the point. I think inflation is just one of those difficult topics because it's something that is to the whim of the pricer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the people that select the prices, and it's up to the people that, I mean, they're really just in control. We really live, you know, at their whims, especially when, you know, of course, like if TVs experience inflation, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do we need a TV? It's not necessary. But like when you see grocery inflation, gas inflation, you know, necessity inflation, that's when we get out of hand. That's when you're affecting everybody. It's like, you know, I mean, inflation has been called the poor man's tax. And, you know, it's almost annoying to see a natural inflation of 2% every year, you know, yeah, every year, 2%, there's a natural inflation. And then now you have a natural inflation rate. I mean, you have an inflation rate of, was it 7.5 according to February numbers? We hadn't even gotten March's numbers yet. So I'm expecting that to be above 8.5 at the least 7.9%. So I'm currently I've already made a bet that inflation has to see over 10%. So when it hits 10%, I get some money. But that's another friend of mine. I'm telling you, you know, it's getting really nasty out here, and the best way to deal with inflation is raising interest rates. And the government's not going to raise interest rates to a suitable number, because sovereign debt or federal debt, the debt that the government has, is so high that if they raise interest rates to where it would need to be to deal with inflation, they would raise the interest on their debt, and they don't want to do that. So because they raise the interest on their debt and they don't want to do that, they're not going to raise interest enough to get rid of inflation on us. So that means the people that make the prices are in control of inflation right now. It's in my opinion, it's very hopeless. I think I saw Michael Saylor, you know, a notorious Bitcoin guy, say, what do you do when bonds don't help you hedge against inflation and they don't deal with federal debt? When federal debt's no longer profitable, what do you do? And it's like, damn, what do you do? And you know, never before in history have we had escape route when stuff like this comes. We've never had escape route. We have crypto, and I think it's definitely time for people to start jumping on the boat, because crypto has hit that, you know, that number where I think it's going to decouple from markets here shortly, and I'm impressed to see what happens in the future. So, but I mean, I don't want to get into too much.
Cool. I mean, with that being said, you know, I ain't got nothing else. I guess my closing remarks is do your own research for sure. Do your research, understand these concepts at least a very basic level, and find something that works for you. For us, crypto is our way out. Two young men from the ghetto, escaping via crypto. It's a beautiful love story, but find what works for you, man, and chase after it. Keep learning, stay hungry, get better every
Yeah.
like the jersey on my wall. get better every day, learn every day.
Yeah. I mean, you could also just make enough money to compensate for inflation steadily. I mean, if you could also do that.
I mean, poor man's tax. So if you don't want to be taxed, don't be poor.
Just don't be poor, right? You could, the federal government said eat lentils, do public transportation, and don't own pets because you don't want to have to pay for extra food. And what else did they say? This is no more subscription services. We don't really need TV. Buy books. They're very cheap right now. They released like a whole article through Bloomberg. I'm pretty sure that came from the federal government because they know that inflation is going to be this whole decade. There is no way. And I don't see a Ronald Reagan popping up out of nowhere to deal with this one. I don't see Ronald Reagan yet. So we'll see. We'll see. This is the 70s, guys. This is the 70s. And it's the 70s. This ain't even the 1920s. I thought it was going to be like that. This is the 70s. This is going to get really ugly. And we got to, this time to get political.
All right. Well, keep rocking with us. We're going to keep learning, keep making mistakes, keep sharing. Yeah, thank y'all for watching Accidentally DeFi. We'll be back next time. Peace.
Yes, sir.